Assalamualaikum and a very good day to everyone who are watching the video. Our group will be presenting about out of wedlock pregnancy. This presentation was made for Associate Professor Dr. Siti Rafiah Abdul Hamid for Child Psychology course. We shall begin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My partner is on the left. Her name is Hanis Jamaluddin. And I'm on the right. My name is Nadiah. Before we begin, I would like to explain on the introduction and objective of the study. So, Hanis and I, we have chosen this topic of out of wedlock pregnancy due to its nature of being undersuppressed. And this issue is usually being kept under the rug and not being spoken and discussed. Therefore, we are called to enlighten our viewers about the issue. We are hopeful that our viewers will be benefited from this study and sharing. To protect our interviewees' privacy, some of the personal data will be kept confidential. Some background about our interviewee. She's 17 of age. She's Malaysian, raised by the grandma, and the father passed away since young. The mom married again. Seldom see mom and communicate with her. She has 4 siblings, 2 elder brothers and 1 younger brother. She ended school at Form 3. At the same time, she gotten pregnant. She was being sent to social service home in the state of Selangor. She had been with the baby until the baby was 3 months. Then the baby was adopted by a family friend. Personality-wise, she's bubbly, jovial, and chatty. She enjoys reading novels and Wattpad, can finish up until 30 novels per week. She seldom shares things with people and keeps things to herself. She lost her confidant and her best friend because the best friend is getting married soon. When she is having a meltdown, she likes to imagining a great future. That's a form of escapism, according to her. So when being asked about what could be the reason of what happened to her right now, she did not explain in detail. She just mentioned that the word family conflict. Based on study by Isabel V. Sohail that relates well with our interviewee's journey, there are various factors which contributed to out of wedlock pregnancy, such as family, peers, media, education, and environment. Factors which stem from the family include problems associated with lack of love and affection, parents who are too busy with work, divorce, and domestic crisis. Nevertheless, the family is identified as a small institution which has an important role in curbing this problem. In relation to this, the need for a detailed study to identify the factors contributing to out of wedlock pregnancy in terms of the family and the role which it can play to curb this problem is very important to overcome this social ill and prevent it from worsening into a chronic social issue. This study is designed as an interview study. Data obtained are transcribed. Study findings by Fernandez-Kelly showed that out of wedlock pregnancy among Muslim adolescents is caused by the failure of parents to give love, care, and attention to their daughters, as well as by a poor upbringing and environment between parents and their adolescents. From study by Leong 2009 also show that the family institution can play a role in overcoming this social ill through parents being exemplary role models, giving their children adequate religious education, monitoring their children's movement, getting advisory guidance services from family and religious counselors in educating their children, and getting closer to them. That's it from my part. Hanis will continue with the rest of the findings.
Okay, right now I will continue the findings that related to out of wedlock pregnancy. Lack of motivation can be one of the education issues related to out of wedlock pregnancy. In 2019, there is a study conducted by Haria and Arifin which focusing on parents' role to motivate their children about going to school. Researchers emphasize a few concepts that can help parents to sustain their children's motivation, which include drive, need, incentive, reward, reinforcement, goal setting, and expectancy. Parents can apply all of the concepts to help children sustain their motivation, such as parents can provide reward and reinforcement. A good compliment can be such a beautiful reinforcement to keep children's motivation, and they be able to acknowledge the purpose of going to school. However, in this case, interviewee reported that she has a cold relationship with her mother. Due to the cold relationship, her parents not be able to prepare her with those concepts. As a result, lack of motivation lead to various discipline issues including often coming late to school and being called out to several counseling sessions. Next, we are going to discuss about the lack of support in education among out of wedlock pregnancy teens. Unfortunately, based on interviewee's statement, she was so eager to coming back to school. However, state's education department wasn't allow her to coming back to school as she might bring bad influence to other students. However, in 2017, News Straits Times reported that Education Ministry said problematic students should be allowed to continue their study as a second chance that will enable the students to change for the better while ensuring that they are not left behind. Yeah, the question is, what is happening? Interviewee also reported that in order for her to continue her study, she needs at least a person who can help her with the study. However, there is no one offer themselves to help her. Actually, this can be an ugly truth that all of us should acknowledge. There is a qualitative study by Abu Bakar, Dawson and Ifdil in 2020 which aims to discuss the perception of high school students toward guidance and counseling services. Results show that most of the students had a negative perception regarding meetings with counselor. Okay, so why these things happen? Based on the finding, researchers found that the common reason students do not see a counselor is that the fear that counselor will gossip to other friends and teachers about their issues. This nightmare happened to interviewee as well. Interviewee shared that her counseling teacher told her story to the other teachers. As a result, she was so embarrassed and decided not to trust anyone since that day. Actually, a counselor should acknowledge their boundaries and ethics. A teacher should be the one who helps students but not the otherwise. Next, we would like to introduce the education in the private shelter. There is a study in 2021 found that shelter for unmarried pregnant adolescents can gain strong social support among the support provider. Not to forget to mention, it is include free academic teaching, food supply, and of course a comfortable physical environment. On the other hand, this kind of shelter also provides spiritual support to help them with behavior modification. They start to improve their attitudes and spiritual practices such as praying and reciting Al-Quran. Interviewee mentioned that she was so happy to be there and consistently practices those spiritual acts as it helped her to remain positive until this day. But the only issues, there are some of the teens who are unwilling to improve themselves, might influence others too, and it happens frequently, such as sneaking out from the shelter. Whenever we mention about sex education, it's still remarkable even in Malaysia. Fret not, lack of sex education can be the major factors that contribute to out of wedlock pregnancy. However, there is a recent study in 2020 conducted by Siti Fatimah which aims to deliver sex education in systematic manner. Researcher adapt sex education guidelines from an Islamic thinker which known as Nasih Al-Ulwan. The Islamic scholars list a few guidelines that can help us as a teacher and parents to educate our beloved children about this sex education. Here's are the guidelines. First step is introduce the importance of sexual education to our children. And we have to acknowledge the content of sexual education in Islam. Third, get to know the best sexual education socializing agent. And then acknowledge the method to implement sexual education. And then the next one is the appropriate time to implement sexual education, and the last one is get to know the appropriate place for implementing sexual education. It concludes that Islam provides us with a systematic manner to deliver sensitive issue academically. To conclude, the purpose of this writing is to gain awareness among the community as not to downgrade those things even once. We discover that there is always a story behind every picture. We cannot simply put the blame on certain people without allowing ourselves to get to know the actual event. So, as we all can see here, as parents, we have to prepare ourselves with parental skill and knowledge in order to educate our children well. Meanwhile, as a teacher, we have to consider it as an honor whenever our students have the courage to seek us when they are having hard times. Plus, this writing also would like to promote the concept of unconditional positive regard and empathy that must be applied by our society in order to bring out harmony and quality community, so that everyone will be given the opportunity to become a better person regardless of who they are.